everybody. Today we're debating whether or not dinosaurs lived with man, and we are starting right now. Ladies and gentlemen, thrilled to have you here for this epic debate, as this is going to be a fun one, folks. This is the first time, believe it or not, that NephilimFree and TJump have ever crossed swords. So this is going to be a great time. This is going to be unbelievable. I want to let you know both of their links I have put in the description for you folks. So that way, if you're listening and you're saying, oh, you're right, this is unbelievable, I want more, there is more at their links, which I put in the description just for you. So with that, it's going to be a pretty open kind of format tonight. Namely, we're going to have 10-minute opening statements from each side and then open dialogue followed by Q&A. Also, though, if it's your first time here, consider hitting that subscribe button, as we have many more debates to come. So, for example, a Flat Earth debate tomorrow night with Team Skeptic and Flat Earth Aussie, pending some controversy that I can wrap up with Flat Earth Aussie. And also, we are very excited as we will have another tag team debate, in case you saw tonight's, and that'll be on next Tuesday with Dr. Josh and Skylar Fiction. But don't want to take any more time. We're going to jump right into this. So, NephilimFree is going first tonight, and folks, it might be buffering a little bit. Hang with us. If we buffer a little bit, we will fight through it, and I think we will make it. So, switching over to full screen for NephilimFree. Neph, the floor is all yours. Thanks so much for being here tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, James, for hosting. I don't see my screen share showing up. I guess it will in a moment.
Yep, just correct? On like about a 15-second delay. That's all.
Oh, okay. All right. So, dinosaurs and man. Now, to refute the evidence that I'm providing that dinosaurs and man coexisted, my opponent must, 1, provide empirical evidence that there was a gap in time between dinosaurs and man. This evidence must be testable, otherwise he would be appealing to an idea, not testable evidence. Or show that mankind's historical depictions and legends of dinosaurs or of other creatures and not of dinosaurs. And show that fossil footprints of dinosaurs and humans in the same geological strata are not those of dinosaurs or not those of humans, or both. My opponent's not going to be able to show any of those criteria to meet them. So ancient, in the 19th century, 18th, 19th century, man really didn't have a decent idea what a dinosaur looked like. On the left, you have a 19th century concept of what a iguanodon looked like, and on the right, a 20th century depiction based on science, modern science. Here's the same thing for Megalosaurus. 19th century depiction of Megalosaurus, 20th century technology gives us a better idea. They got it very wrong. Megalosaurus, 19th century concept, 20th century technology on the right. Okay. Ancient man accurately depicted dinosaurs. So the idea that ancient man saw fossils in the earth and accurately drew them doesn't work. They had to have seen the creature, not its bones. Here's an ancient depiction of a crested Coryanthrus. They depicted it with a wattle under its neck. This is commonly what it is believed to have possessed. Here's a Edmontosaurus drawn by Native Americans in an upright position because it's in a defensive position. This is what the animal would do, like a black bear when it stands up, because it meets a threat. Ancient man depicted it correctly. This is from the Shang Dynasty in China. Notice the textured skin. Late 20th century science discovered that many dinosaur species had textured skin. So they actually depicted that correctly. They got the upturned nose, the crest on the head right, and the crest going down the tail right. Here is a depiction of a dinosaur, a boat, and snakes on a rock wall in Ontario, Canada. This is from Israel. Here's a giant lizard-like dinosaur attacking possibly a T-Rex type animal, or Allosaurus, attacking a horse while another dinosaur is onlooking. What kind of animal is big enough to bite the back of the neck of a horse and take it down that way? This is a Stegosaurus depicted on a Cambodian temple built approximately 1100 AD. And now evolutionists claim that these spines on the back of the thing are actually leaves. They're not actually part of the animal, but that's not true. These peoples were very good at depicting what they wanted to depict, especially flora, plant life. And they didn't put flora in there. It would be all around the animal had they done so. This is from the palette of Narmer, King Narmer. It's ancient Egyptian. It depicts two sauropod dinosaurs with their necks intertwined. This is a Native American depiction of a dinosaur with a man on the side you see there. Now, anybody that looks at that, even a small child, would obviously think dinosaur when they see this image. This is Lusotitan, crested skull, giant sauropod dinosaur. Babylonian depiction of them, two of them with their necks intertwined. This is Lusitonian again, depicted in Babylonian ancient art, two of them with their necks intertwined. This is from an ancient Egyptian mosaic. The inscription there is in Greek, and it literally says crocodile lizard, and depicts humans standing on the shoreline as they look at this creature in the river. This is medieval tapestry. Depicts what we would call, by legend, we would call this a dragon. But anybody looking at this image, and the child, the infant one over on the right, is going to think dinosaur when they look at it. This is also from a temple, and obviously depicts a giant lizard-like dinosaur. These are human and dinosaur fossil footprints in the Paluxy River in Grand Rose, Texas. These are early 1970s photographs of these men excavating them by removing rock layers. Here they come with a bulldozer to do the same thing. And here's what they found. Dinosaur and human foot tracks in the very same strata. That's absolutely impossible unless man lived with dinosaurs. Here's more of them. On the right, you see human footprints. On the left, there are sauropod dinosaur foot tracks. And here's the same footprints. This is a close-up. I've drawn lines so you can see what they are. As you can see from the magnification on the right side is obviously a human-shaped foot, and there is a sauropod dinosaur's foot tracks that cross it in this very same strata. Evolutionists claim these are not human footprints, but they absolutely are. Look at the one at the top on the right. It's a human footprint. It's just denial. This is how evolutionists attempt to get around these tracks. They depict them in the wrong way, and they'll say these are mud collapses. These what look like three toes. This is mud collapses around a sauropod dino track instead of a human footprint, but it's not. You see on the right an actual sauropod dinosaur footprint. Where's the heel? As you can see from the left, the actual fossil reconstruction, sauropod dinosaurs, three-toed ones. I mean, not sauropod, but three-toed dinosaurs. They didn't have a heel. So these are human footprints where the mud collapses around them. They're not dinosaur footprints. So the evolutionist argument about that is false. Now, ancient man depicted many times legends of dinosaurs, and in their legends, all the tribes of mankind have legends of dinosaurs. Let me see here. I'm trying to stop screen sharing. I need to select Zoom, I guess. Oh, yes. This is not working. Oh, okay. Stop sharing. There we go. Ancient man depicted dinosaurs in art quite accurately, and has countless legends of dinosaurs. Marco Polo wrote of dinosaurs when he took a trip to China. He said, and I quote him, "Leaving the city of Yaqi and traveling 10 days in a westerly direction, you reach the province of Karazhan, which is also the name of the chief city. Here there are huge serpents, 10 paces in length, about 30 feet, and 10 spars, about 8 feet in girth of the body. And the forepart, near the head, they have 2 short legs, having 3 claws, like those of a tiger, with eyes larger than a 4-penny loaf, and are very glaring. The jaws are wide enough to swallow a man, the teeth are large and sharp, and their whole appearance is so formidable that neither man nor any kind of animal that will approach them without terror. They are met with the smaller size being 8, 6, or 5 paces long, and the following method is used for taking them. In the daytime, by reason of great heat, they lurk in the caverns from whence at night they issue to seek food. And whatever beast they meet, they can lay hold of, whether a tiger, or wolf, or any other, they devour. After which they drag themselves towards some lake, spring of water, or river in order to drink. By their motion in this way along the shore and their vast weight, they make a deep impression as if a heavy beam being drawn in along the sands. And those whose employment it is to hunt them observe the track by which they make their most frequently accustomed to go, and fix in the ground several pieces of wood armed with sharp iron spikes, so that they may cover the sand in such a manner as to not be perceptible. When therefore the animals make their way towards the places where they usually hunt, they are wounded by these instruments and speedily killed. So he wrote more about it too. So even Marco Polo did not necessarily say that he observed dinosaurs, but he alluded that he did, and that the Chinese were hunting dinosaurs. Imagine what kind of creature leaves a track in a beach or on the sand along the shore that is so big that it is if a beam of wood, a tree trunk, were being pulled behind a horse to leave that kind of a track. Well, he's describing a lizard-like creature, and it would have to be so large that it would leave a track in the sand in this way. So are we to just simply dismiss all these legends, the fact that all of mankind's tribes have these legends of these dragons that mankind fought, as mythical? I don't think that's rational. I think the far better explanation is that man did coexist with dinosaurs, as many other evidences allude, including geology. And it's simply a fact that man did coexist with dinosaurs. I think to write off all the legends and the ancient depictions that man made of accurate depictions of known species of dinosaurs is a fault.
Thanks
That's my time.
so much, Neff. Appreciate that. We will now kick it over to TJump. As I mentioned, it's funny that you guys have both been on the channel numerous times and you've never crossed swords before. So first time, very excited to hear it. Tom, the floor is all yours.
Okay. So did dinosaurs live with humans? With the exception of birds, no. When talking about evolution versus creation, the first thing you need to realize is that the debate is not how scientists resolve issues in science. Scientists don't care about debate because words aren't evidence. So nothing my opponent said is actually evidence. It's not evidence against evolution. It's not evidence for creation. It's just stuff made up in his head. None of that is actually evidence. It's just post hoc rationalization of things that you see, but none of it actually makes predictions. It's just, hey, we see stuff. I can make up an explanation for it. Therefore, my explanation is correct. Isn't evidence. So science is built on empirical evidence of things occurring in the world, not things we make up in our heads. It's not just we make up rationalizations and that counts as evidence. It's not how it works. So theology and philosophy are resolved in debate, but science isn't. Science doesn't care about debate. It cares about evidence. So what is evidence? If we see a cup fall over, what could have caused that to happen? Well, maybe the wind knocked it over. Maybe somebody bumped a table that the cup was sitting on. Maybe it was a mouse or a squirrel or a bird, psychic powers, magic, a god, a ghost, invisible unicorns or aliens. Maybe the entire world was created 5 minutes ago with the cup already laying on its side, and the memories of us seeing it fall are illusory. There are infinitely many ways to explain what caused the cup to fall over, and all of which except one are imaginary. So for something to count as evidence, what we need is some way to filter out the imaginary explanations and leave us with what is reasonable to believe. Now, all of the infinitely many explanations can explain all past and present data. So you can look at the data right now, what we see, like the cup has fallen over, and then you can post hoc explain that as being clearly there was a magic leprechaun that knocked the cup over. So anyone can explain why the cup was knocked over just by looking at the past and present data and just making up an explanation. But none of that is evidence. In order for it to be evidence, you have to be able to make future testable predictions. You have to look at the evidence that we see today, then make a prediction about something we don't know yet. Then that has to be made confirmed through testing. And if you can confirm your tested predictions, that is what counts as evidence. So you look at the past and present data. You don't just explain it because anybody can explain it with anything, magic leprechauns. You have to use that explanation to make predictions. And if those predictions about the future are true, then we have a reason to believe it is correct. So all of the things that Neff presented, none of those were predictions. Those are all looking at the past data and making up an explanation. Okay, I mean, we can make up lots of explanations for all those things. I can say magic leprechauns caused the footprints, or I can say they were faked, which is the consensus in the scholarly field, because they don't look anything like human footprints. And we can say the pictures are they're not at all accurate. They're just made up pictures. Like what is big enough to cause the size in the sand of a print that like looks like it's being dragged by a tree, whatever. An alligator does that. Dinosaurs don't do that. Dinosaurs don't leave those kinds of tracks. Dinosaurs stand up and their tails don't hit the ground. What does is an alligator. And most of the pictures you see that he showed look like alligators, not dinosaurs. And they are not at all accurate in any sense. They have a few things that are analogous, but they're not accurate at all. I mean, the more modern, like 1960s pictures are actually significantly more accurate than the things like the cave drawing, which is a line that he supposedly is somehow a brontosaurus. Like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's accurate. Like, what? It's a line. Apparently, we can just interpret lines to be exact replications of dinosaurs. Makes sense. Like, no.
Stream is failing.
That's not evidence. The fact that people drew pictures isn't evidence. It's just post hoc rationalizing things to make it fit your data. What is evidence is future testable predictions. And evolution and natural selection and the dinosaurs in geology, those make tons and tons of testable future predictions. We've discovered millions of fossils around the world, exactly where we predicted them to be. And they connect together perfectly. And we know how old they are, and we know how old the Earth is, and we know what the age of the layers are, and all of that in all of those different fields, they all coincide in consilience to prove that no, dinosaurs did not live with humans except for birds. And the only evidence that counts is future testable predictions, which evolution makes and creationism doesn't. So none of the things Neff presented is evidence at all. It's just him post hoc rationalizing the things he wants to count as evidence. Like, he looks at data and says, oh, I like this, I'm going to count this as evidence. Like, no, that's not how evidence works. You have to make predictions, and he doesn't at all. So one thing that he mentioned, the Plauxy River tracks. So if you just go to Wikipedia, go down to the section on the criticisms, some of the tracks are faked. These footprints do not represent the way human footprints would look in mud. They also do not accurately reflect the changes in the way humans would walk as a result of their size. Other footprints were genuine tracks, but showed features inconsistent with human footprints. Supporters of the human footprint theory claim that the tracks showed authentic mud push-ups. Okay. And the time period for the humans and the dinosaur tracks. You just read the Wikipedia, fully explained, academic journals. All of the things he said are just proven false. It's just him making up stuff, and none of it makes predictions. None of it's actually evidence. The only side that has evidence is evolution and dinosaurs in old Earth. Saying that dinosaurs lived with humans is essentially no different from saying magic leprechauns created the world 5 minutes ago. It's just complete nonsense.
Gotcha. Thank you very much for that, Thomas. We will now switch into open dialogue mode, folks. So thanks so much. And as a reminder, forgot to mention, if you happen to have a question, you can fire it into the old live chat. And if you tag me with @ModernDayDebate, makes it easier for me to make sure I don't miss any. And also, super chat is an option, in which case, if you do a super chat, it allows you to not only maybe make a question toward one of the speakers, but also a comment to which they would get to respond to, and it would push your question to the top of the list during the Q&A. So with that, thanks so much. The floor is all yours, gentlemen.
TJ, I want to ask you a couple of questions. I took a couple of notes here about your presentation. First of all, you didn't provide any evidence. You just gave us your ideas about this. You tried to dismiss the Biloxi, Texas tracks as not looking human and having the wrong gait, but they do look human, and they do have the right gait.
They're just objectively false. No.
You also said historical evidence offers predictions for the future, but that's not always the case. So that can't be applied here.
Well,
you You said they're not accurate depictions of dinosaurs. I would beg to.
You said the history thing. So science makes predictions. I didn't say history makes predictions.
Well, we're talking about historical evidence, though.
I'm talking about science. I don't give a shit about historical evidence.
Well, that's what we're talking. Dinosaurs don't live today. It's got to be historical. It's not current.
No, there's no such thing as historical evidence. Historical evidence is like testimony and manuscripts. This is science. There's no historical evidence there. It's just testimony.
Well, I think you're misunderstanding what is meant by historical. But you also said that they were not accurate depictions. I would beg to differ and say they're extremely accurate. And
you don't get an opinion on that. That's the scientific journals I just read. You don't get an opinion on that. It's just
you also mentioned mythological creatures as an argument against accurate depictions of dinosaurs.
None of them are accurate.
This debate is not about evolution. It's not about evolution. You mentioned birds or dinosaurs, but fully modern birds like flamingos, owls, cormorants, and albatross and others are now known to have coexisted with dinosaurs. So how could a bird be a dinosaur? I'm not hearing any evidence, TJ. I'm just hearing your ideas.
The evidence is the science. The science is the evidence. I didn't present the science because there's just a bunch of it. Like I did present yes, we make testable predictions about bones. Those were correct. That's evidence. That's more evidence than you've ever had in all of.
Well, that's an idea about.
No, that's not. No, it's not an idea. That's evidence. That's literally evidence. So again, evidence
what
is future
evidence
testable
again?
predictions.
What is again?
Evidence is future testable predictions. Scientists made predictions about if evolution is true and if dinosaurs existed evolution is how dinosaurs came to be. So that's an important part. If evolution is true and dinosaurs existed at the time period we predict them to have existed, given evolution, we will find these bones of Tiktaalik exactly in this location at this exact depth and within this area. We discovered it exactly in that depth at that area and nowhere else ever. And that's true for all of the testable predictions of dinosaur fossils. We make testable predictions, we get them right. That's evidence. You have
I'm going to disagree about the fossil record. I know you believe that. A lot of evolutionists repeat it. But again, this debate is not about evolution. It's theoretically, it's theoretically plausible that evolution happened and dinosaurs still coexisted with man. In order to disprove the physical evidence that I've provided, you're going to have to prove there's a gap in time between man and dinosaurs.
You
haven't done that.
I don't have to do any of that. Nothing you presented as evidence. No, I don't. Nothing you presented as evidence. It's just garbage. Here's something I see and I'm going to make up an explanation isn't evidence. I don't have to disprove that. I can just say you're making shit up. Okay, it's disproven. That's all I have to do to disprove everything you said.
No, not at all. Because as I just pointed out, TJ, it's completely theoretically possible that evolution could be true. Which of course,
it has nothing to do with evolution. It's not about evolution.
And dinosaurs coexisted with man because they didn't go extinct until.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter to the point. Okay,
hold on.
So wait.
Let's give him a chance to respond. I promise we'll come right back to you, Tom.
So, and unless you show there's a time gap between man and dinosaurs, you haven't discredited anything.
No, I don't have to do that at all. Again, so all of the stuff you said I can discredit in one simple thing. You're making shit up. None of that actually is evidence. You're just looking.
Well, that's not evidence, TJ.
No, that's
your idea.
Stop, Neff. All I have to do to disprove everything you said is say you're making shit up.
No,
just looking at stuff and just making up stuff. That's
all right, TJ, follow me on this, okay? Let's imagine the evolution is true. And
no, Neff, this has nothing to do with evolution.
Right, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
No, that's not a part of my argument.
TJ, no, I'm trying to help you understand something. Follow along with me. Just, patronize me a second. Let's imagine evolution is true and dinosaurs did not go extinct until 2,500 years ago. Okay, that means they would have coexisted with man. Okay, so theoretically, it's possible that man and dinosaurs coexisted on that basis alone. But for you to prove the evidence, the historical, physical evidence that man coexisted with dinosaurs, you're going to have to show that there is a gap in time between man's existence and dinosaurs going extinct. You haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, that's all in the geological record. We've already done that.
Well, what is the evidence of that?
The testable predictions, which I already presented at the beginning multiple times. So we know the geological record, we know testable predictions, we know what layers the fossils are on, and we know what layers the humans are on. They're not on the same layer, different age groups.
Okay, so if we don't find a human and a dinosaur together in the same strata, how is that proof that they didn't coexist? Because we don't find even certain species of dinosaur in the same strata as others, but that doesn't disprove they didn't coexist.
You don't disprove something, you prove it with evidence. So the evidence is that we make novel testable predictions. We say if evolution is true, we can predict which layers we will find specific fossils are on. Again, Neff, this is not about evolution. Evolution is just how they make the predictions.
Right.
The predictions
so
are
it's
the
not
evidence.
about evolution. Right.
That's right.
You have to
Neff,
show a
Neff,
gap
stop.
in time
Neff,
between
Neff,
man
Neff,
and dinosaurs.
Neff. Oh my God, Neff, stop. Evolution is the thing we use to make the predictions.
I know
The
you believe
predictions
that.
are the evidence. It's not about evolution. Evolution is just the mechanism we use to make the prediction. So we make predictions. The predictions are correct. That's the evidence. We win. You lose. You have nothing. We have everything.
Evolution doesn't make accurate predictions. But again,
Yes, it
TJ,
does.
you're moving the goalposts. This debate is not about evolution. It's
my
about
God, Neff.
man not
Oh my God.
coexisting with dinosaurs. You're
Neff,
going to have to prove that there is a time gap between man and dinosaur to show
Neff,
that
how do you
dinosaurs
not
did not
understand
exist
the
with
basic
man.
concept of evidence? So Neff, evidence is testable predictions. It doesn't matter if we're using evolution or a magic 8-ball to make the predictions. We make predictions. We get them right. You don't.
I've heard you talking about predictions, but you haven't shown one that demonstrates there's a difference in time.
Yes, I have.
Between
so the
man
geological
and
record,
dinosaurs.
the geological record
And hold
proves,
on, TJ. Let me finish the thought, please. So to argue against that, let me just point out that coelacanth disappears from the fossil record for 75 million years, and yet it's a living fossil. Does that prove that it didn't coexist with the creatures that we know it must have, because it's not found in those strata with those creatures? No, of course it doesn't.
No, again,
so that's
you don't
not proof that
understand
coelacanth didn't exist with the creatures that we know today that it did, right?
No, again, Neff, you're not understanding how evidence works. Evidence is novel, testable predictions. Saying we didn't find certain fossils at a certain depth isn't evidence. What is evidence is saying, I can predict that this fossil will only be found on this layer in this area, and that being correct. That's evidence. We can do that for lots of fossils.
And coelacanth discredits that idea.
No,
so do others.
That does not. That just shows you don't understand how evidence works, Neff.
Okay,
that wasn't a prediction. It would only be disproven if we predicted that it would only show up on this layer and didn't show up on all the other layers. Of course, it has ancestors on other layers. That's not a prediction.
So, TJ, is it not true that coelacanth is missing from the fossil record for 75 million years?
I have no idea. I haven't researched it.
It
doesn't
is
make
true.
A difference.
It is true.
It's not evidence.
It is true, right?
It's not evidence.
So it disappears 75 million years ago, right?
Neff,
and
that
yet
isn't
we know
evidence.
it coexists.
Why do you keep saying this? That isn't evidence.
Well, because TJ, I'm trying to help you understand that your idea
Neff,
about
you don't understand anything. That isn't evidence. You keep saying random facts that are not evidence. That doesn't help your case.
I'm trying to keep us from talking over each other constantly.
I know, but you keep saying random things that have nothing to do with
I know you don't have to agree with me, but you need to let me finish a statement. Okay. So since coelacanth and other creatures disappear from the fossil record for 75 million years, and we know they coexisted with those creatures throughout that 75 million years, if we apply that to your ideas about dinosaur fossils, because we don't find a human and a dinosaur fossil in the same strata, doesn't mean that humans didn't coexist with dinosaurs.
Oh my God, Neff. Again, that's not the argument, Neff. That is not at all anything I said. So my argument isn't we don't see these, therefore they don't live together. My argument is we make testable predictions. We get them right. So we can say what layers certain species live on, what layers they don't live on. So we have reason to justify our belief that humans live on this layer and animals don't. It's not just that we see fossils here and we see fossils here, and that's just the end of the evidence. That isn't the evidence. The evidence is the testable predictions, Neff. We can make predictions and say, these things live on this layer, these things live on this layer. We can predict where they will be found, and we discover them being found there and only there. And that confirms the entire theory. So anything that isn't specifically supported is already supported by those other testable predictions.
Well, how does your prediction fail when it comes to creatures like coelacanth?
It didn't. That was never a prediction. No one made that prediction.
Oh, really?
Yes. That was never a prediction.
Okay, a little historical information here. Evolutionists claimed for decades that coelacanth went extinct because it was not found. Okay, so now you're denying history in order to argue.
Where is it?
But you haven't shown that there's a time gap between man and dinosaur, and that's what you must do to be able to show that man didn't depict it.
That does that. So.
Because we have all this physical evidence that man accurately depicted dinosaurs, and we have human footprints and with dinosaur footprints in the same strata of the Plexi, Texas riverbed. Now, here's an amazing fact for you. Every geological sedimentary strata in which we find a dinosaur fossil was one in which was deposited by moving water, rapidly moving water, and that creature was buried quickly. Okay, so because hydrology experiments in the laboratory prove this TJ, that the sedimentary strata with particle size distribution, fine distinct boundaries between each other with an absence of erosion is what is produced in the lab, is exactly what we observe in the geologic column. We know that every single fossil of a dinosaur was one that was buried in sediments rapidly, right? Okay. Now, if that's true,
it's false.
here's the problem you got. The sedimentary strata in which you find a dinosaur sits right on on top of the one that doesn't have a dinosaur
you
in
keep
it.
saying false things that have no evidence.
And here's the problem. The boundary between those sedimentary strata is paper thin in most cases.
No, false. No, no,
because
next.
they were created by moving water. And if
No,
that's the
false.
case,
Next.
your whole idea about the geologic column just disappears.
Again, so all of that's just false. No, we don't only find fossils in the geological column like that. No, that is false. We find fossils in lots of different areas and lots of different places.
I didn't say we found them only in one place. I said we find them in sedimentary strata.
Yes, we do not only find them in places that were suddenly collapsed through water. No, we find them in lots of places, like tar pits.
Well, we don't find them in soil.
Yes, we do.
No, dinosaurs are to make a fossil. It has to be it's encrusted in rock. You know. Do you know what that is?
Yes, yes. That's
okay.
Right,
then I'm right.
No, you're wrong. Now you cannot say we only find them in this one area.
On top of it, and only that, predominantly that kind of material.
You're just making crap up.
This,
none of that's what
and this happens over and over and over for all the very strata of the whole geologic column. Where do you get this idea that there's a mechanism like that in nature?
Nothing you just said accurately represents what happens in the geological scale. Nothing of that is accurate.
Where is this mechanism?
So again, none of that's evidence. You're just making crap up. It's not like it suddenly goes from rocks to plastic to paper. It's not a new material. It's all rock. Like
no. You're not understanding. The sedimentary strata have fine distinct boundaries between them.
Yes.
TJ.
Okay. Yes. The different chemical compositions of rock. It's still rock.
Yes, they have the same thing. Right. And they're sedimentary rock because they were deposited by water, and they have fine distinct boundaries. Now, if those strata were deposited over a vast age of time, how in the world does material become deposited over a vast age of time, suddenly stop, one material stop, and then predominantly a different type of material like clay or something else on top of that, and it doesn't merge from one strata into the other? How's that happen? Over and over and over.
Chemical reactions in the water. Easy.
Chemical reactions in the water?
Yes.
What are you talking about?
Where do you get by the stuff in the water? So if it's being deposited by water, the stuff in the water determines the composition of the rocks that are being deposited. So if there's a different chemical composition of the water, it's going to deposit different things in the rock.
Right. So that's exactly what you're positing. So you're stuck with having to believe
that one type of material. Nothing. That's just how you would explain differences in those layers. That's one of the many possible ways.
So you're stuck with having to believe, TJ, that one type of material gets deposited in a particular location for a vast age of time, like tens of thousands of years, and then for some reason the environment stops providing that material and suddenly abruptly, immediately begins providing a different type of material to deposit on top of there. And this has to have happened throughout the whole geologic column. Where is this mechanism in nature that does this?
There are lots of them. They all do that. Like rivers do that. Rain does that. Volcanoes
immediately?
do that. Okay, so what are you talking? This is over millions of years. You're making stuff up. Again, nothing you've just said is even relevant to the debate. You're just saying, I can't understand how geology works, therefore it's false.
Okay, so when the strata...
Stop, Neff. You've been talking for a while. So again, nothing you just said is evidence. So you said, we made up some ideas about footprints, which has been proven false. And you've said, people in the past drew some pictures that kind of look like dinosaurs, which is false. I mean, they don't. And they have beaks on them, and they're always not even close to dinosaurs. They're just an argument from analogy fallacy. None of that is evidence. We have testable predictions now. You need to provide testable predictions, or you're just making shit up. That's literally what evidence is. If testable predictions, or you're making shit up. And that's all you're doing. You just made stuff up.
So
saying that evolution can't explain something isn't evidence for your conclusion. Even if we grant, or saying that dinosaurs, the scientific account doesn't explain dinosaurs and humans being separate, doesn't help your case. That's not evidence of your position at all. So, and all you're doing is trying to criticize, well, science, you can't explain this. That isn't evidence of your position now. You need to provide testable predictions.
Okay, so I disagree that I've got to provide testable predictions, but I want to share something with you. You've acknowledged that the one material abruptly ends.
No, okay,
while
stop.
The other
I'm not even going to address any of that garbage anymore.
TJump, don't allow me to say something, okay?
You've been talking for like 10 minutes straight. That isn't evidence.
James, I'm trying to screen share something. Is it coming through?
Okay.
Not evidence.
You're
Not
through,
evidence, Neff.
Or
Okay.
1 second.
So TJ, what we were talking about is that one material stops being deposited and another one abruptly starts being deposited. I don't know if you can see what I have on the screen here, but I'm depicting. Can you see what's on the screen? This is a sedimentary laboratory experiment. Hello, am I being heard?
Thomas.
Hello.
Not evidence. I'm not even going to listen because it's not even evidence. I don't need to. It's not. You just keep saying things that aren't evidence.
Am I being heard?
Yes.
Is my screen share working, James?
Yes.
Okay. So what we see here is laboratory experiments in sedimentology that's been performed countless times. They create strata right before your eyes. And that's exactly what we see in the geologic column, TJ. You see these sedimentary strata, how fine the boundary is between them. Look how clear and distinct the boundary is between these strata. It's paper thin. And look at this one. You see where the rock has fallen away from the one, the strata above it?
Yeah, that's all explained by
what
us.
that means
No
is
problem.
this material was deposited by moving water, and that's why the boundary is so clear and fine, distinct. Okay, so here's what you're having to believe.
Not evidence.
In the majority of the strata of the earth, like these strata right here, we see that the difference in color of these bands is because the materials are predominantly different for each one of these strata. Now the boundary between them is super fine, paper thin, because they were deposited by moving water. But what you're trying to have people believe is that the one strata below, like the green one there, is deposited slowly over a period of, I don't know, a couple thousand years. And then the one above it, maybe over a period of a few thousand more. And for some reason, the environment stops providing this one material abruptly, just instantly. No more of that. You're only going to have this from now on. And this happens over and over and over and over and over again. Can you explain this mechanism in nature whereby an environment stops providing one material predominantly and then abruptly only a different kind, and this happens continuously?
Yes.
Where's the reasoning behind that?
Different chemical compositions of the air or the water.
Well, of course, but how does that happen over vast time, TJ? You're avoiding the actual question.
Again, there's lots of different ways to do that. One is a volcano. One is different chemical compositions. One is different releases of gases from different kinds of sources. There's lots of different ways to do that. I can just Google, how do rock layers form? Oh, layers form when particles from water or air.
But volcanic ash accounts for an absolutely minuscule.
You just asked for an example. I gave you an example that proves
right,
wrong.
But that doesn't explain the whole geologic column.
You want me to explain every single layer to you? Is that what it's going to take? Like, none of that's evidence. So I just explained to you. I just explained to you how that happens.
No, you gave me a mechanism for creating one strata out of every 20,000.
That's all I need to do. You said explain how it happens. No, it's not. I explained how it happens.
No, one strata out of every 20,000 doesn't work.
You wanted an example of how to explain how that happens.
That example explains only ash layers. It doesn't explain the whole geologic column.
That's all I need to explain. That's all I need to explain.
No, that's not. That's false.
You asked how it happened. I gave you an example of how it happened.
No, that's failure.
Google how rock layers form to explain every single one if you want, but it's a waste of time because none of that is evidence.
No, you can't tell me a logical reason why the entire geological column.
I'm not going to try to explain to you how the entire thing happened. Obviously, all I need to do is say, here's how it happens. Done. You're wasting my time, Neff. None of that is evidence. You need to present evidence. I make testable predictions. You don't. We have evidence. You don't. Saying you can't explain stuff isn't evidence, Neff. That's not how evidence works.
No, I have explained how they're formed by moving water, which is why they have these fine, distinct boundaries.
That's not a prediction, Neff. You need to make a prediction.
The problem for you is that you're stuck with believing that nature over slow, gradual time is going to stop. TJ, please don't constantly talk over me. Man.
You keep saying the same nonsense.
Let's have a conversation.
Let's
have a conversation.
Yes, so stop repeating the things I've already debunked. So that is wrong.
No, I'm trying to get you to understand that you're avoiding a question. Right?
I just answered your question. How do
you pointed to volcanic ash.
Yes, there you go. There's one way of how they form.
That accounts for like 0.01% of the geologic column.
There is one way how they form. Neff, done.
That's one way. That's how ash layers form.
Yes, there is one way how it forms, Neff.
Right. Not the majority of the geologic column.
They don't need to be the majority. I just gave you one way.
Yeah, you have to explain all these strata.
No, I don't, Neff.
Okay, well, I'm done with that. And then I guess the audience is going to clearly see the irrationality of your argument there.
Yeah, you have to explain every rock layer, therefore, or you can't be right.
No,
Yeah,
you,
no,
you
that's
need
wrong. Man.
you need to be able to explain the preponderance of the geologic column with this method,
Yes, and they have no problem with
because
that. Science
the
has no problem with
preponderance
that.
of the geologic column is strata with absolutely fine, clear, distinct boundaries, and that can't be explained by the rare ash layer. TJ.
No, that's just one way it happens. There's lots of ways it happens.
Right, for only ash
there's no problem with
layers.
it. Yes,
Right,
that's
for
one
ash
of the
layers.
ways it happens, Neff.
Right,
That's
for
one of
it
the
happens
ways.
that way for ash.
Yes, Neff, that's one of the ways it happens. That's
Right,
that
but you're not
proves your argument.
explaining how gradual time can explain this abrupt change in materials.
I just
paper-thin
explained
boundaries.
one of the ways it happens, Neff.
No,
That's
you
one of the ways
explained how it
happens.
happens for ash layers.
Yes, that's one
That's
of the
all.
ways it happens, Neff.
For ash.
Yes,
Right.
that's one of the ways it happens.
You've
Neff.
completely failed. You know that, right?
You asked for one of the ways it happens. I
Yeah,
gave you one of the ways it
completely
happens.
failed. Okay, so TJ, you haven't shown that there's geologic time between man and dinosaurs. That's what you must
Yes,
do.
I did. That's what the geological time scale does.
Disregard the evidence that I've provided.
You have no evidence. You provided no evidence.
I've provided a preponderance of it.
You provided none. You've just made
I've
shit up.
provided footprints, human and dinosaur footprints in the
fake and
same
made up.
strata.
It's not evidence.
Fake? How did
Yep.
how did they fake those?
By carving them.
They
You
carved them?
Carved them.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
You mean
You
they were
want me to
carved?
read the Wikipedia again for you?
So I mean, now wait, they carved them and then they buried them with all this sediment, these flat chunks
No.
of
They
solid
dug them
rock
up
that
and
weighed.
then carved them.
Let
they
me
were
finish
fake.
a statement before you start talking, TJ. They carved them and then they buried them under giant slabs of
No.
multi-ton slabs of stone, and
No.
then threw gravel and dirt and stuff on that, and then came back later and filmed it. Is that what they did, TJ?
No, they dug it up, then they carved it, and then filmed it.
Oh,
Like, obvious.
But they photographed it while they were digging it up so they could then fake it, right?
No, we can you can just read the Wikipedia article, explain the whole thing right there. They're fake.
No, well, that's what
Done.
they say. I haven't heard it from
Yeah,
you.
that's the academic journals who say that. So yes,
What's the evidence they were faked?
the fact that they don't represent it anything like what footprints look like. I
I've
read
shown you that they
the
do.
Wikipedia. I read the Wikipedia article like at the beginning. Like that's the evidence. So that's false. We know that's false.
Well, we saw the photographs, and they clearly do depict human footprints.
No, they clearly don't. Those don't at all.
Well,
represent
I'd say
how-
that's denial, TJ. You're just
Again,
in
I
denial.
read the Wikipedia article.
I don't care what
Said
Wikipedia says. I
the
care about
Wikipedia
physical.
is referencing the
See-
academic journal. So again,
see-
as the academic journal said, they clearly cannot support weight like that. So no, those are clearly faked. Those are clearly
So-
carved in and faked.
So you're referring to what some Wikipedia article says, and I'm showing photographs of them.
Yes, and the photographs are wrong, and the Wikipedia article is referencing an academic journal.
So they spent,
So-
and then they buried them under giant
Neff,
multi-ton
so
slabs
we
of
know
stone.
that's false. We know that's false, and it isn't evidence.
So how'd they photograph themselves digging them up then?
I don't know.
TJ?
Don't care. Like photograph,
Don't know.
you can cover it up, you can uncover it. That's one way to do it. There's lots of ways. Still
So
not evidence. Neff.
they faked them, and then they happened to
Still not
put-
evidence. Neff.
put
So
these
I read the
multi-ton-
academic journal. The academic journal says those are false. That's all I need to say. That's false.
academic journals have lots of false things in them, TJ.
Great. Yours are
You're
proven
not
false.
citing anything. You're just referring to some anonymous paper.
That's all I need to do. Your joke
No,
is
it's
false.
not. I
Yes, it
provided
is.
physical, visible evidence.
I
have you
presided an
provided?
academic journal. My academic journal is greater
No,
than
you
your
didn't.
pictures.
You didn't even decide it. You just told us one exists.
Okay. Do you want me to? Because I can pretty easily. Just go to the
Well,
Wikipedia.
I wouldn't believe it if I read it because I've seen the photographs.
Because you have no evidence now.
No, because I can see the photographs.
The photographs aren't evidence, Neff. That's just
Oh,
making shit up.
Okay, so TJ, you're telling me that you think creationists fake this kind of evidence and to spend multi-thousands of dollars and then bury it under multi-ton slabs of stone, then photograph themselves digging it up and say, "Look what we found."
Yes,
Is
they've
that
done
what they
that
do?
multiple
Really?
times.
They've done that
times.
multiple times.
Yes.
Wow,
Not surprising.
amazing! Wow, we're lying for Jeebus, guys. Lying for Jeebus.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the things referenced in the academic journal is that people faked this for tourism reasons, just like they did those
Oh.
pots in the
Mm.
South America. Yes, we
And
know
all
that
those
happened.
artistic depictions of known species of
Are not-
dinosaurs, those were all faked too, right?
No, those aren't depictions of dinosaurs. They're just
They're not.
depictions of shapes.
They just look awful. Just
They
look
don't at
just
all.
like a
They don't at
dinosaur,
all
but
look
they're
like
not.
dinosaurs.
They don't at all look like a dinosaur.
No, they don't. They
Really?
just look like random pictures of mythological creatures. Like
Random
many-
pictures of mythological creatures.
Yes, like the pictures you showed. There was an alligator with a beak. Doesn't look anything like a dinosaur. It's just
Yeah.
has
So
an analogous, an argument from analogy. So no, pictures drawn on paper thousands of years ago are not evidence of dinosaurs, Neff. That's not how
Random
evidence works.
mythological beasts.
Yes.
That's what they were.
Yes. Obviously.
Okay.
So none of
Well,
that's actually
let's
evidence.
take
So
a
again,
look. Let's take another look and let's see.
Pictures, not
So
evidence.
is that doesn't look anything like a sauropod dinosaur, right?
No, it's a line. It's a line.
It's a line? No, that's not a line. It's an awfully thick line if that's a line.
Yeah, like the tail way too big if you're taking it literally. The tail doesn't go down below its feet. No, that's not at all a sauropod dino. It's just a line.
Oh, not at all. Huh?
Yes, obviously.
Okay. And
this
and what? Tell us about this one. This mythical beast, right? That's not a crested head sauropod dinosaur, right?
No, it's not.
It's not.
No.
Okay. And neither are these, right?
No,
these
those
aren't
are the same
crested
thing as
heads.
the one before. No,
sauropod dinosaurs, right?
That's an alligator.
And gee, that's an alligator.
Do you see the beak there? Is that beak on any dinosaur we know of?
It's a beak.
That's a beak. Yes,
it is. It doesn't look like a beak to me. I don't see where it's a beak.
It's literally a bird's beak with a bird's nose.
And that's not a lizard-like creature, right?
Yeah, because we totally see them breathing fire all the time, Neff. Like, no.
Okay, so it doesn't look like a lizard, like a iguanodon or anything like that, right?
It's a lizard.
And they fake these men with all these people present, their wives, their kids, neighbors, and everybody who came to look and watch. They removed these multi-ton slabs of stone. They had to break some of them to do it. And then they carved these fake dinosaur footprints. And then they put all those multi-ton stones back in place, fused them back together, and then broke them apart again while they were filming this so they could show the fakes, right?
No, those just aren't dinosaur tracks.
Wait a minute, but that's what you said they did. You said
yes,
they
did.
them.
There are many of them that are fake. Yes.
Right. Well, then to fake them, TJ, they would have had to have carved the fake ones.
No, not
covered them with multiple tons of stone. They would have had to cover them with multiple tons of stone and then remove it later.
Some of them were fake. Some of them are just dinosaur tracks that look like that. That's not at all how a human walks. So those are definitely 100% not human.
That's not? Sure. Humans don't walk with left, right?
Not like that, no.
Okay, so that doesn't look like a human footprint in the enlargement on the right, right?
No,
it doesn't look anything human, right?
No.
And so those don't look like sauropod dinosaur footprints either. And that's not a sauropod dinosaur footprint either, right?
That is a sauropod dinosaur footprint.
It is. Well, what about the
so again, none of that's evidence, Steph. So you keep bringing up things that are not at all evidence.
And what about the dinosaur footprint that was removed from those tracks that was taken to a hospital CT scanner?
None of that is evidence.
Scanned and shows the stresses inside the rock where the footstep.
You keep bringing up random facts that don't support anything.
TJ, how do you
evidence?
TJ, how do you fake the internal stresses in the rock?
None of that is evidence, Neff. You keep saying nonsense over and over again, and none of that is evidence.
Well, TJ, is there a way for them
in the ground and you think they're human isn't evidence. They're not human. They've been disproven. They're not human. These pictures look like dinosaurs. No, they're not. They don't. They're just you're making up analogies. Like, do you see the picture of the dinosaur in the middle that has 2 legs and the one in the back that has 4? They're not analogous. You're just saying, well, this kind of looks like this, kind of.
Right. It looks very much like it.
No, it's an argument from analogy. So that isn't evidence. People making
and that doesn't look like Protoceratops, huh?
No, it's just a toy.
Yeah, it's a toy. What's it depicting? An imaginative thing, right?
Yes, an imaginative thing.
So what about the dinosaur footprint that was taken?
Neff, stop repeating the garbage evidence you're presenting.
TJ, you're not going to stop me from talking here.
I don't need to stop you from talking. I want you to stop wasting my time with garbage evidence. Like, none of that's evidence.
So TJ, what about the dinosaur footprint that was removed from Plexi, Texas?
I don't care. No,
which has a human footprint and a dinosaur stepping on top of it.
Never happened.
And taken to a hospital CT scanner. TJ, stop interrupting for a second.
I already disproved that.
TJ, I'm asking you a question.
I don't care. I've already disproved that.
Please stop trying to interrupt constantly.
Neff, stop bringing up the same thing I've already disproved.
No, you didn't talk about it. You're just trying to prevent me from talking about it.
No, the Plexi footprints are faked. They're not human.
That's damage control.
Some are fake, some are not human.
Okay.
Those are the two
so
things.
This was taken to a hospital CT scanner and scanned and shows the stresses inside the rock where the footprint stepped for both the human and the dinosaur footprint. How do you fake the internal stresses in sedimentary rock?
Again, not human footprint.
How do you, well, if it's fake, how do you fake the stresses inside the rock under the heel and the ball of the foot and under the toes?
I didn't say all of them were fake, Neff. Some of them
Okay,
are
so
just
this
dinosaur
one's not
footprints.
fake?
I have no
Well,
idea, Neff.
Okay.
Like, again, but still not evidence.
It's
So you
called the
keep
Belk
wasting my time.
print. It's
Still
called the
not
Belk
evidence.
print.
Still
And the
not
Belk
evidence,
print
Neff.
is a human footprint with a
No, it's
dinosaur
not.
stepped
It's
right on
false.
top of it.
It's false.
And-
So you're making stuff up. Not a human footprint.
Well, if it was faked, they had to fake the stresses inside the rock.
No. It's just a dinosaur footprint. There's no human footprint there.
No, it's a human footprint
No,
on
it's
top
not.
of which a dinosaur
Wrong.
stepped.
Wrong.
Yeah. Well, it's
Wrong.
obvious.
Next.
Okay, let me pull it up on the internet and show you.
Velocity trackway.
Because I know you're gonna, you're gonna say, no, it's not true. No such thing.
The fact that it looks in a certain shape is not evidence it's human. So that's not how human footprints look.
Okay,
These
so
footprints do not represent the way human footprints would look in mud. Done. End.
Yeah.
They also do not
Okay.
accurately reflect the changes in the way the giant humans would walk as a result of their size. Giant. End.
Okay.
False. The footprints are general tracks, but they showed features inconsistent with human footprints. It's false. Like, again, academic journals. Here we go. Godfrey L.R. 1985 footnotes of autonomous creation evolution 1/5/1536 academic journal.
Okay. Now, are you seeing the picture I'm showing here? This is it's called the Delk print.
Yep.
It's a human footprint.
That's
And
it's
here's
not
the
at all.
5 toes. Here's the heel. And a
Neff,
dinosaur.
Human toes don't spread like that.
TJ, please don't constantly talk over me. And then a 3-toed theropod dinosaur stepped on it. And this footprint fossil has been taken to a hospital CT scanner, scanned millimeter by millimeter, and it shows the internal stresses inside the rock, and not only under the dinosaur's footprints, but also under the toes, the ball, and heel of the human foot.
All right,
How
what's
do
it
you
called,
fake? How do you fake the internal stresses in rock?
Again, that's just not a human footprint. You don't have to fake that at all.
You're
It's
not
a
answering
human
my
footprint.
question. If it's not
a fake, it's not a human footprint.
It's not a fake.
No, it's not a fake. It's not a human footprint.
That's not a human.
It's an impression
footprint.
from things that are not human footprints. That's why it's not fake.
That's not a fake, and it's not a human footprint.
No, not a human footprint. What's it called, Neff? I can just Google this right now and tell you exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's a human footprint.
What is the name of the fossil?
There it is. It's called the Delk print.
Delk.
And there's the big toe, the
Delk
second
footprint.
toe, third, fourth, fifth toe, the ball of the foot, the arch, and the heel. And a theropod dinosaur footprint stepped on it. Been scanned millimeter by a hospital CT scanner, and has the internal stresses in the rock where the toes and the heel of both animals, man and dinosaur, had stepped on the rock. How do you fake internal stresses in rock?
Again, I said it's just not a human footprint. So the stresses aren't fake. It's just not a human footprint.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what other creature has 5 toes with a ball, an arch, and a heel besides a human?
One that looks nothing like a human footprint. And
That doesn't
it's
look
not a
anything
footprint.
like a human
No.
footprint.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, okay. I think I that's good for me. I'm happy
just-
for you to say that, because everybody in the audience will see that photograph and they're going to say, "Man, that sure looks like a human footprint to me."
Only
But
if
then
they're
we've got
idiots.
TJ saying, "No, that doesn't look like one."
Yeah, because
That's good for me. I'm good. I'm happy with that.
The big toe is way too big. The small toes go in front of the big toe. It's the wrong shape, the wrong size,
it
the wrong
fake?
impressions. No, it's not fake. It's just not a human footprint.
Oh, it just happened to look just like a human
It
footprint.
doesn't look anything like a human footprint. Jeff.
Okay,
It's
so
just making
TJ,
shit
you
up.
haven't shown that there's geologic time between humans
I already
and
did.
dinosaurs.
I already did. That's
You
covered.
have to be able to show that to be able to
Already
make
did.
your case.
Geological record proves that. He's done.
Well, you didn't cite any evidence of that.
The future Tesla predictions is the evidence.
No, your evolution paradigm is what you're referring to. You haven't shown
Future Tesla
evidence.
predictions is evidence, Neff. That's
No,
how
you haven't
evidence works.
shown any physical geological evidence of time between human and dinosaurs.
You can't show
You have to
physical
do that.
geological evidence of time.
Yes.
The time doesn't exist. It's the Tesla predictions that are the evidence. We see the fossils in the exact places we predict them. That's evidence.
No, we don't.
Ours is right, yours is wrong. We make Tesla predictions, you don't. We have evidence, you don't.
Are you not
just
aware that
making stuff up.
creatures are found with dinosaurs that were claimed did not coexist with dinosaurs, and evolutionists have had to
Didn't happen.
redesign their theory?
Where are you
Hold
making
on,
stuff up?
TJ,
Show
don't
me where.
constantly talk over me.
You're making shit up, Neff.
Okay,
Show me
and
what
that-
you're talking about.
And that
Where is this
evolutionist
evidence?
scientists have had to redesign the evolution theory numerous times in order to account for this.
Give me an example, Neff. You're just making
Okay,
shit up.
bees with dinosaurs.
Bees with
Evolutionists
dinosaurs.
claim bees didn't coexist with dinosaurs for
Who claimed
millions
that?
of
Who
years.
claimed that?
Well, it's the history of the evolution theory.
I never heard of this. Who claimed this?
Every evolutionist scientist that lived prior to
Give me a
1950.
link. Give me a source. Give me a link.
Okay. Well, you don't give me links. I'm just going to tell you to take my
If
word
you want a
for it.
link, I'll give you a link. I just said the Wikipedia article for humans and dinosaurs. You can Google that yourself.
Fully modern birds coexisted with dinosaurs. Evolutionists said
Birds are dinosaurs. What do you? No one said that. That's literally not
evolutionists
evolution.
said until recently.
Give me a source.
Fully modern.
Give me a
Okay,
source.
sure. I'll give you a
'Cause
source.
birds are dinosaurs. They didn't live with dinosaurs. They are dinosaurs. So no one claimed that.
I think that's the most absurd statement, that birds are dinosaurs.
You said that evolutionists claim that birds lived with dinosaurs. No one claims that because birds are dinosaurs.
You know that birds and dinosaurs have a different location system, completely different locomotion system in their hips, and birds don't have
not evidence.
Hold on,
not
TJ.
Like,
Birds have a very different kind of respiratory system. They don't have lungs that open up and close and take air in and out with a diaphragm. They have a flap on the inside that constantly goes up and down to bring air in and out of it. They don't have lungs per se, like a dinosaur.
Keep making stuff
so
up?
Why would you say they're a dinosaur when they have a very different anatomy?
Are birds dinosaurs?
How could they be a dinosaur? I don't care what an evolutionist scientist said. I'm asking you.
I'm just going to go with the evolutionist scientist.
Dinosaur?
That's the correct answer.
Well, I've provided two things that tell us a bird can't be a dinosaur.
None of those do. You're just asserting things and assuming that they make them.
Dinosaurs had lungs, and they also had bird-type respiratory systems too.
No, that's not how evolution works, Neff. That's not a criticism.
Well, you just said they're birds or dinosaurs.
Yes, birds are dinosaurs, Neff.
Well, I think I've provided evidence that's not true.
No, you haven't, Neff. You're just saying, hey, there's a difference. They have differences. They're not the exact same.
Critically big differences, like that of the hips too.
They also live millions of years apart, Neff. That's not evidence.
Well, that's what you say. But in 2010, Oregon State University published a new study provides yet more evidence that birds did not descend from ground-dwelling theropod dinosaurs, experts say, and continues to challenge decades of accepted theories about the evolution of flight. Okay. This was published by Oregon State University, 2010. It's called "Bird from Dinosaur Theory of Evolution Challenged. Was it the other way around?" I'll put the text chat. I'll put the link.
Go for it.
In the text chat.
It still doesn't help your position. So they didn't evolve from ground-dwelling dinosaurs. They could have evolved from different ones. It's not a problem. That doesn't help your conclusion, Neff. None of that's evidence.
For some reason, the looks like the text chat is disabled for our debate. I don't know.
Okay, but again, so you still haven't presented any evidence. You're still making up nonsense explanations of things.
Okay, let me try loading the page again.
But none of that's evidence.
It comes. So I'm putting the link in the text chat for the room. You said Cytosaurus. Here it is. Dinosaurs, the idea that birds evolved from dinosaurs has been challenged because of the fossil findings. Fully modern birds have been found in dinosaur digs in various locations around the world. Now, I'll give you further examples if you like. Let me see if I can find it in my sources here. Let's see.
Are birds dinosaurs?
Here's an. Let's see here. I'm looking. Well, I just provided one source already.
That's just a paper that challenges the theory. That's
right. But you speak about a paper. I provide a link to a real one.
Yeah, I could. Do you want me to? Do you want me to give you scientific journals of all of the different articles that show birds or papers?
Well, I'm just pointing out what I'm doing is providing evidence and things you say that you said weren't true. And I'm showing you that they are true.
No, that paper doesn't challenge anything I said. That paper agrees with evolution.
But they say it does.
No, that isn't not something I said. No, Neff. I didn't say.
Well, you said birds.
Yes, birds are dinosaurs.
You're alluding that fully modern birds no species of fully modern birds coexisted with dinosaurs is the predominant theory. That's what's been told. Right.
That's correct.
That they've been saying for, I don't know, 150 years that modern birds evolved 40 to 60 million years after dinosaurs went extinct.
Yes, that's correct, Neff.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay. But then the new findings are discrediting that.
That's not new findings. No,
it's 2010 is a lot newer than
that 1950. Paper does not challenge that theory at all.
Well, that's what they say.
No, it doesn't.
That's
that
what
paper literally says that it challenges the origin of the evolution of the birds from different dinosaurs. It does not challenge anything I said. It doesn't challenge anything in my position. It doesn't challenge anything in the science.
Okay, let's
all
read it again.
The science.
No, you're misrepresenting now. I don't appreciate you misrepresenting science papers.
Okay, what is the
That's
name of
not
the
right.
papers, Neff?
Okay, I'm looking for it again.
Yeah, this is not evidence. This does nothing to help your
It's
conclusion
not. It's
at
not
all.
even. So the point
What is
is,
the name of the paper?
modern,
What is the name of the paper?
fully modern birds. I'm looking for it. Fully modern birds coexisted with dinosaurs. It's now known. This is flies in the face. Is Science Daily, 2010. And evolutionists have been telling us for 150 years that modern birds didn't exist until 40 to 60 million years after dinosaurs. The new studies that I'll read it. A new study just published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences provides. I cited it. I'll say it again. Bird from dinosaur theory of evolution challenged. Was it the other way around?
That's an article. What's the name of the paper?
It's an article in Science Daily citing the papers in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So what's the name of the paper?
What evolutionists have been claiming has been discovered wrong, and that's what I'm pointing out.
No, that doesn't challenge evolution at all. None of that challenges evolution at all.
Modern birds did coexist with dinosaurs.
No, it's the 99 million year old bird coexist with dinosaurs. Like that's not modern at all.
No, fully modern type birds.
No, they're not fully modern. Fully modern in evolution is like within the past 100 million years. There's no like chickens back there. That's
well, now you're just denying the findings now.
No, that you just don't understand what the paper says. The paper does not say modern chickens.
Fully formed birds. Look, TJ, yes. The simple bottom line is this.
Oh my God.
For 150 years, they said no birds lived with dinosaurs.
No one said that, Neff. That's just stuff
everybody said that, TJ.
No one said that.
Birds Every evolutionist on the planet said it prior to 1965.
No, Neff, you're just making shit up. No one said that.
Now you're in denial of the history
show
of
me where they
theory.
said this. Show me where they said this, Neff. You're just making shit up.
I hear that kind of thing all the time. You know, evolutionists denying their theory. The history of their theory.
No, we never said that.
Creationists said the sun won't come up tomorrow.
Nobody ever said that. We never said that.
Yes, and you presented no one who said that. Neff. You're just making shit up. You presented no one who said that. You're just saying evolutionists said this, and
just like they said they did not say that.
It doesn't matter what evolutionists are saying.
Don't, TJ. Just like evolutionists didn't. Just like evolutionists didn't say. Just like evolutionists didn't say that coelacanth went extinct 65 million years ago. Right?
Show me one person who said that, Neff.
Wow. Okay. So great. The audience, are you hearing this? TJ is claiming
all creationists said Jesus
never
didn't
said
exist.
these things.
All creationists said Jesus didn't exist. Wow. Oh, I'm not going to provide an example though.
That's awesome. Okay, TJ, thanks for helping me win this debate so clearly. So what is your evidence that there's? What is your evidence that there's geologic time between humans and
the geological record proves that.
How?
Indisputably.
How?
Testable predictions. That's how it works.
Well, you just keep repeating a term. You're not explaining anything.
I explained it at the beginning. Testable predictions are what evidence is. Testable predictions are what we
now provide one that applies to the subject, TJ.
Testable predictions about the geological finding Tiktaalik. Done.
How does Tiktaalik have anything to do with man not coexisting with dinosaurs?
Testable predictions. We say if evolution is true, if the geological time scale that we predict is true, we'll find exactly this fossil in exactly this location, and we do.
Now apply that to human and dinosaurs.
That's if evolution is true, if the geological time scale is true, which means evolution, humans are at the top, new species, dinosaurs at the bottom, old species, and we will find a median species, like a halfway point, where there's a half fish, half lizard. At this point,
we don't know of any such thing.
Tiktaalik. I just gave it to you.
No, Tiktaalik doesn't have a. Tiktaalik doesn't.
What you think doesn't matter now.
TJ, Tiktaalik does not have a endochondral shoulder girdle. Its shoulder girdle.
I never said it did, Neff. I never said it did.
Let me finish the statement.
You're saying nothing.
It had a dermal, not endochondral shoulder girdle. Therefore, it couldn't have
doesn't help your
supported.
position, Neff.
TJ, please don't talk over me constantly. It couldn't have supported its weight out of water any more than.
Don't matter.
TJ, please stop talking over me constantly.
No, I'm going to keep saying it because you keep saying nonsense. Like that doesn't help you.
Well, we can give you a chance to. Well, actually, I think we do need to go to Q&A pretty short here. It has between the two streams. The funny thing is, folks. Divine disbelief, because I think that I have to dig up your old super chat as well. Sorry about me missing that before, but I will look it up. But they did send one now. They put in caps TJump. You seriously lost to NephilimFree.
No, like Neff is just saying random crap that has no evidence. Like, there's a difference between this thing and this thing, therefore they can't be the same. Like, no, Neff, that's not how evidence works. Give me testable predictions. You did nothing.
I didn't hear you providing the evidence.
One sec, Neff. So sorry. Just so we don't gang up on Tom with both the
Sure.
super chat and then you, Neff. What I will say is we'll go into Q&A pretty quick here. We'll give each of these guys a chance to kind of tie together the threads of what they've found throughout this discussion, and then we will go into that Q&A. So thanks so much, folks. Thanks so much for those of you who have stuck with us. We've got about almost 300 still with us. It is so hard sometimes, but I appreciate you so much, friends, just that you stick with us. As we've had a lot of connection issues lately, I think it's because the server is being taxed heavily. We've totally upped our connection strength, but nonetheless, it's been a long uphill battle some of these days. And so thanks so much for hanging out with us, folks. We appreciate that. Even when I promise, it'll get better. We're going to get through this, and we will jump into these questions. But first, like I said, I'll give you guys a chance if you'd like, just for a couple minutes, if you want to do really brief conclusions for a couple of minutes or so, and then we can jump into that Q&A. I guess we can have Neff go first.
Okay. Well, I provided physical, visible, testable, observable, empirical evidence that man coexisted with dinosaurs. My opponent can do nothing but deny it. Then he denies the theory of the theory of evolution to go with it. And his only argument was testable predictions, but then refused to apply any of them to dinosaurs and man. Just talked about other things, even going so far as to bring up Tiktalia rosea. I just consider that utter complete failure. I'm done.
So yeah, nothing Neff said was actually evidence. He said, "Hey, we see these prints in the ground, and they're made by humans," which there's no evidence of that at all. They kind of look like humans, not evidence of humans at all. And then he said, "But old people drew pictures that kind of look like dinosaurs." Again, not evidence of dinosaurs. So nothing he said there was actually evidence. And he just kept giving examples of, well, you can't explain this, which is an argument from ignorance. Like, even if it was true, that wouldn't in any way be evidence of his conclusion. It's just literally an argument from ignorance. So nothing he said was evidence at all. The only thing that is evidence is testable predictions. That's how you show your example, your hypothesis isn't just made up nonsense. And presented none of them. So all he has is just made up nonsense. I look at the evidence, I look at things we see, and I'm going to call it evidence for my conclusion, but provide no actual reason to believe that. It's just nothing. It's a nothing burger. Everything he said is just a nothing burger. And he said, well, here's all this sciencey stuff about geology and differences between species, which is all explained by the science. And that's how we know those things are different, because of the science. So none of that actually supports his conclusion at all. Like, he didn't present any evidence. He just presented post hoc rationalizations and tried to say evolution can't explain things or science can't explain things because there's differences. That's it. That was the fundamental everything he said, which is just a complete waste of time. Like, next time, present evidence, which is testable predictions.
Gotcha. Next up, we are going to jump into these questions. Thanks so much for your positive feedback, folks, both about the debate and also about just encouragement during this tiresome day for me. Really do appreciate that. Love you guys. I really do. It's we'll jump right into it. Sentinel Apologetics, thanks for your super chat, who said, Neff, none of that is evidence, in quotes, and also in all caps. Then they said, times Googleplex.
Okay, well, it sounds like TJ all over again.
Gotcha.
Random things
Let's
that isn't
see.
evidence. Like,
Sentinel Apologetics, thanks for your super chat, who said, TJ is my crush and he won this ridiculous debate. Next up, we already read Divine Disbelief. Next up, Sentinel Apologetics, thanks for your super chat, who said, Neff, the 2010 study was debunked by a 2017 study. The evolution of birds with implications from new fossil evidences by Min Wang on Springer Journal.
Yeah, I would challenge that assertion. Cormorants, owls, egrets, and about 5 other types of birds, including songbirds, have been found in fossil digs, dinosaur digs in various places around the world. Those are fully modern birds that have been found with dinosaurs.
Gotcha. And I think that we have gotten all of the super chats. Folks, I am going to wrap up early because I am dead. I appreciate NephilimFree's picture of Smurfs. I'm confused, Neph. Is this some sort of tasteless joke?
Yeah, no, this is my depiction of evolutionists.
No, it's not true. No.
Gotcha. Thank you very much for that, Neff. And next up, we had one more super chat. Divine Disbelief says, Neff, can you explain identical hoax signals on digits 1 through 3 of both theropods and modern aves?
Who was that question for?
You.
Okay. Can I provide, say it again? Can I provide an example of what?
They said, can you explain identical Hawks signals on digits 1 through 3 of both theropods and modern, I think they maybe meant modern
birds.
apes.
Modern apes. Oh, well, I would say it's the same problem with they find when it comes to birds and the idea of evolution. They found that in order to believe that birds evolved their feet from the different types of feet that birds have, they have to believe that a transition occurred where the mesenchymal and genetic pathway for development did a jump to the left or a jump to the right and magically created a new one. And I don't see that as plausible.
Gotcha. We had another super chat just come in. Serious Startups, thanks for your super chat, who said, James, so sorry for my part in your fatigue. This is John Maddox. Please take my name off that earlier debate. No problem, John. I know it's busy, and so hopefully everything's okay. I figured, I know you love to debate, so I was like, there must be something wrong. And I hope you don't mind that we subbed in Austin for you. So thanks for that. And then let's see. G'day says there were super chats that I missed, but in the creator studio, I don't know if I do. Oh wait, you're right. I did for sure. Okay, so sorry about that. Wow. Okay, yeah, I missed several. Okay. So Sentinel Apologetics, thanks for your super chat. Did I already say this one? Behemoth in Job 40 is a bull. The KJV has, quote, stones in verse 17 for the Hebrew idiom testicles. Thus, the, quote, tail as a cedar is an erect penis of a bull.
I say that's the most egregious interpretation of Scripture. Yeah, nobody would read the passages relating to Job and come away believing that if they read them in English or in the original Hebrew.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Next up, appreciate your super chat from Sentinel Apologetics as well, who says AIG, or Answers in Genesis, equals a Laodicean abomination of Christendom today. I think that's for you, Neff.
I espouse Christianity right out of the Bible. I talk about science right out of science, and there's no conflict between the two.
Thanks so much. And let's see, I think we already did this. Michael Dresden, thanks for your super chat. Missed this one. Said, Tom already lost, in all caps. Debate done.
Yeah, I lost by Neff making up explanations that aren't evidence and using arguments from ignorance. Like, that makes sense.
Gotcha. Next up, appreciate Eric Vierthaler. Thanks for your super chat. Says, Nephi or NephilimFree, I know you don't like being called Nephi. Sorry, Neff. Said, what about Christians who believe dinosaurs never existed?
Well, I'd say that's, I don't know. What do you say? I mean, bizarre. That's what you say. Bizarre.
Gotcha. Thanks for your super chat from Serious Startups, who said, also John Maddox, who said, no worries after watching Glad I Missed Out. Yes, that was a wild one tonight. By the way, folks, want to let you know, if you're watching right now, you will see both this debate and the debate before the Nathan Thompson one tonight re-uploaded. And so just want to give you a heads up. What we will do is piece together each of those, because each of those debates had the stream drop about halfway through. So for each one, we will combine those two pieces into a single debate and upload that. So Thanks for your question, Amy Newman. Just doing this because you're a pleasant person, Amy. Says, just resending the question, does Neff know why the dinosaurs couldn't get on the ark? Did Noah just have something against big lizards, Neff?
Well, dinosaurs were, of course, on the ark. Noah would have been smart enough to bring adolescent ones, small ones, because they would eat less and be more manageable. So they had to have existed on the ark because they're found in legends and physical evidence that man coexisted with dinosaurs. So this, to me, sounds like another denial of the evidence, like what I was hearing from my opponent.
Thanks for that. Divine Disbelief, thanks for your super chat, who said, Neff, can you explain Maniraptoran phylogenies?
Who is that question for?
Neff. Okay, so
Okay.
I said, can you explain Maniraptoran phylogenies?
Maniraptorian. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with that term. But phylogenetics is not evidence of evolution. Phylogenetics is based largely on protein codes, ignoring the vast majority of the genome. And you can find similarities in all kinds of creatures that way because they have similarities in biochemistry, because they live in the same environment or eat the same kinds of foods and have similar similarities in dietary needs. There are all manner of inconsistencies in the genetic phylogenetic idea, genetic information that doesn't align up, that should not be so, but is. Most evolutionists don't know about it because they don't look into the things that are controversial about their ideas.
Eric Veerthaler, thanks for your super chat, who said, NephilimFree, does the Bible teach a flat earth?
No.
Sentinel Apologetics, thanks for your super chat, who said, no ancient text says Noah brought dinosaurs on the ark, Neff.
The Bible says 7 of each clean kind, and 2 of each clean kind, and 7 of each unclean, I believe it is. So each kind, dinosaurs are kinds, so they would have to have been on the ark.
Gotcha. Adam Elbilia, thanks for your Patreon question, said, I read it in Hebrew. It says behemoth, and it indeed translated as a bull by Hazal.
Hebrew scholars don't agree. I've looked into what Hebrew scholars have to say about the word behemoth found in the text. It doesn't imply a bull. The word could be used maybe in the stretch of the sense to mean a bull, but Hebrew words, like modern words, have more than one meaning, and the primary definition of that word is not a bull.
Gotcha. Thanks for that. And thanks so much, folks. That's it for tonight. I want to say we will be back tomorrow with several debates, at least 2. Sentinel Apologetics strikes again and says, thanks for your super chat, in all caps. They say, no ancient Jew interpreted a kind to include dinosaurs, Neff.
There's nothing that supports that idea.
Gotcha. And Tom, your screen is flashing green again. I told you to stay away from those particular websites. Next up, want to say thanks so much, folks. We love Neff and Tom. I have linked them in the description. So that way, if you were listening and you're like, want more of that, well, you can have more of that because those links are waiting for you. Also, want to let you know, folks, we are excited as we will be back tomorrow for at least several debates. Tomorrow morning, Sterling will be taking on Ask Yourself on a veganism debate. Also, Tom will be back to debate SJ. Oh my gosh. Tomorrow is the day before Easter. Oh my goodness, that snuck up on me. So on Easter Eve, tomorrow afternoon, they will be debating on the resurrection. We might have that debate between Flat Earth Aussie and Team Skeptic tomorrow night. I heard Team might be sick though, so that one might get postponed. And I also have to talk to Team about some stuff, or not Team, Flat Earth Aussie. I've got to sort some stuff out with. But yes, Steve McRae says today is Good Friday. He's right. It's like time is just flying by. But Nougat, thanks for your super chat. Appreciate it. They said, I don't believe in 3,000 gods, and you don't believe in 2,099. Why does that make you and your book correct, NephilimFree?
Well, because for one thing, the Bible proves itself to be the inspired word of God. It contains numerous fulfilled prophecies. It's irrational to believe that human beings or soothsayers and mind readers are able to see the future with accuracy and details over and over again, century after century, and have scientific foreknowledge in it, things that man could not possibly have known, because the technology to discover those things didn't exist anywhere near the time in which it was written. So these things demonstrate that whoever gave the words that are the Bible had knowledge of the history of the world beforehand. And also, well, I could go on more, but the Bible proves itself to be the inspired word of God.
Thanks for your super chat as well. N/A/N/A. Appreciate that. They said, was man, bear, pig in the ark? Half man, half bear, half pig. I'm super cereal.
Yes, absolutely. And Wookiees and Wookie Wonkas were in there as well.
Thank you very much, Neff. Appreciate you letting it roll off your back. Very good. Let's see. So yes, thanks so much, folks. I really do love you. You guys, sometimes I'm like all stressed out by when the stream drops, or you remember we used to have audio issues like every stream. That was like super embarrassing. But you guys make it fun. So I want to say thanks so much, everybody in the chat. You guys are a blast. Love you guys. Seriously, it's a blast. I hope to see you tomorrow. And yes, Sentinel Apologetics. He responds to Neff. You guys have quite the duel going on tonight. Says, quote me a Second Temple Jew that says dinos were on the ark, NephilimFree.
The ones who the ones who wrote the book of Genesis, which is likely Noah and possibly Gad and possibly someone else, they say so. Done.
Provocative. Thanks so much. So thanks so much, everybody. It's always a pleasure. Really do hope you know how much I appreciate you. Even on these hard nights, I end right now in a euphoric state. Thanks so much for Neff and Tom for being with us as well.
James, appreciate you hosting the debate. TJ, I know we disagree, but I thank you for debating with me tonight. I enjoy debate, so thank you for coming and having this debate with me.